Hi there guys, welcome once again. It's Carlton Black Ops King back at you on my station. I've been away for quite a while, but I'm here now to speak again. And what I thought I'd do, using my secret intelligence knowledge and my knowledge of politics and the like, is that I'd look at Brexit from varying perspectives. Today, what I want to do quite quickly, as I will with all of these, they'll be short little ditties, is to speak to you about the politics of Brexit as it affected the United Kingdom and why we entered and why we thought that was a good idea. So with further ado, let's jump straight into it. As per normal, if you want to be notified when I come back onto the channel, just press below. You'll see the little bell down there and subscribe so you'll get notified. Okay, so one of the things that I hear quite a lot when I speak to people is they say, we joined a economic union, we had nothing to do with politics. All we wanted to do when we joined the EU was to sell our goods. Right, let me explain very, very quickly. From the beginning of what is now the EU, if you go back to the Coal and Steel Organisation and so on and so forth, it was always political from day one. Konrad Adenauer and Schumacher, the German and the French, and also the others who were involved in Benelux countries and Liechtenstein were involved in that process, were actually bringing it together for political reasons. The political reasons being that they didn't want the reasons for a third world war in Europe amongst the Western powers. So that was the whole idea. Let's tie Germany to us. It's a political union. And we'll deal with coal and steel because, of course, those are the things that make munitions in the old days. So weapons of war. That's the way it was perceived. So we'll do that. It then spread out politically into other areas and economically into other areas. And, you know, when I was a lad and there was no work in the United Kingdom, I went to Germany and started to work there. I could do that with no need for a work permit. This is in the 1970s. You could do that, dead simple. Why? Because we were part of the European Economic Community. Now, you hear what that word say, European Economic Community. Nevertheless, I could travel and I had the right to take up labour in Germany. No problem. I had the right to live in Germany. No problem. It was always politico-economic. Right, so why did the United Kingdom want to be part of it? And to be truthful, why did France in the beginning not want us to be part of it? Reasons are actually quite simple. When the whole idea came to the European Economic Community and then later to the EU, people could foresee in France, in Germany and in other areas that this, if the political union got together as they wished it to and wanted it to, and indeed were working on it to make it happen, it would become a counterweight in some way, shape or means to the then prevailing powers, the United States and to the Soviet Union. So that power that the European Union could bring about was something that was always wanted. Now, as far as Britain was concerned, that had tied its masts to the United States and basically worked with the US to try and counteract the loss of empire, which all around it was happening. So by the 1970s, empire had been lost. What you need to understand also with empire was that empire was an economic community, but run by the United Kingdom. So basically, the United Kingdom had a vast internal market of its empire. Its empire had to buy goods from the United Kingdom and give the raw materials to the United Kingdom for the product to be produced. And then within that vast colonial empire, then the goods would move around to the advantage of the United Kingdom. Once that was gone, obviously former imperial countries like India, various African countries, various Asian countries, no longer needed to buy what Britain was producing. So British markets were lessened. And indeed, because we had this sort of monopolistic market in the past, we weren't necessarily that competition ready for other nations. So our cars weren't any good. Our products in general weren't being able to stand up against other products from other nations. And so what you find to this very day, and you hear people say, oh, we can go back to the Commonwealth, which is obviously what the empire morphed into, but it isn't what the empire morphed into, because it really has no political or economic standing, in the sense of it's not controlled by the United Kingdom or indeed any other power. What you'll find is the countries that make up the Commonwealth, which is a disparate union, if you will, well, not union, that's too strong, a disparate body of ex-colonial countries that come together to discuss issues for the common benefit, right? And that's basically about it. And I've been to various Commonwealth heads of government meetings, been in the meetings with Commonwealth heads of government, so I'm telling you exactly what it is. Basically, it runs no power within itself. But the reason why that is of interest to the United Kingdom is because in the UN, to some extent, the UK could utilise those contacts, and it is just contacts, to potentially have bodies vote the UK's way. Read for that, the US's way with the UK. Right. Now, the bigger body for which we wanted to do that and influence that and gain influence so we could keep our UN place was in the European Union. So for the last 40 years, what we've been able to do is we've been able to act as that, if you will, body in the European Union which speaks for the United States. And with the United States, some European Union countries have believed that we've had some influence with the US, so they use us as that conduit. So hence, we've been basically a bridge between the United States and the European Union. Now, as I was going to say to you about the Commonwealth, what you need to understand is that Germany, example, does 6 times as much trade with Australia than we do. And actually, round about 6 or 7 times as much trade with India than we do. So the fact that we have the Commonwealth means nothing. We supposedly have the Commonwealth, i.e. the Queen's the head of the Commonwealth. All that means is she's a titular head, because she is the head of state in some of these smaller Commonwealth countries. Now, it doesn't bestow on any economic power or any political power to run these countries. It just means that you're head of state in some of them, some very few of them. So the point I'm making is economically, the EU was the benefit that we could get politically and also economically, because when we were within the EU, it broke down, if you will, the customs structures and the structures of tariffs and so on and so forth. But that's a different perspective that we'll talk about on another issue. All we're talking about here is the political perspective. So politically, what the EU did for us, it enhanced our power with the US, read for that, with the world, because the US is the most powerful country in the world, and enhance what we were able to do and able to win to our advantage within these areas. That's why once we then left the European Union, or we say we are leaving the European Union, overnight, the whole raison d'etre of our political, geopolitical management of the world has gone. So overnight, we lose everything that we've been working for in terms of geopolitics. That's how countries deal with each other. It's gone, because our raison d'etre was to act as this conduit within the European Union and to have great influence within the European Union, so we could actually dictate to some extent what the European Union does. So now when you hear people talking about a European army, why will that likely come about? Because the United Kingdom is no longer there to prevent it. When you hear people talk about a single taxing prospect for the European Union, it will likely come about because the United Kingdom is no longer there. All of these issues that bind the EU closer together and make it a much stronger economic state, and by that virtue, political state, because what will also happen is they will soon come about with one political perspective for the whole of the Union. As it stands now, each country has its own political perspective, but they work together within the Union through a European Union representative that acts like a foreign secretary. In fact, she was a British woman, Caroline Ashton, and I've worked with her many times. But the point is, with that gone, with the UK gone, that will be a much tighter union politically, and the European Union will push its actual weight then on the political world stage. And we, the United Kingdom, not being part of any such union, will be massively diminished. This is why every former ex-Prime Minister of the United Kingdom says this is a bad, bad deal. It basically means the UK will no longer sit at the top table. And it's highly likely, based on the fact that we're no longer in the European Union, that the United Kingdom will lose its seat on the United Nations Security Council. So that's how our economics, our geopolitics are effective. It will make the UK a much less powerful state within the world. So anybody who thinks that actually leaving the EU will improve us, it will diminish us. And if you are like some of these people, like that silly MP, Marc Francois, who thinks, oh, the Germans are the ones, we have given the Germans more power by us leaving. Because Germany, who doesn't want to sit up and take the main role in the EU, and by the way, Germany is economically much more powerful than the United Kingdom, but didn't want to sit up politically in that vein as well, is now having to do that because the United Kingdom has left. So what we've done is a double whammy. We've diminished our power and raised the power of the United States, and by the way, the power of France as well, which is now doing deals with the United States, so it can act as the conduit into the EU. So guys, that's it. Very, very quick overview of the political reasons why we, the United Kingdom, wished to be in the European Union, and why we, the United Kingdom, has made a success of being in the European Union over the last 40 plus years. Next time, I'm going to talk about what it's meant for our economy and the economic perspective of the United Kingdom. Okay, see you then. As I say, if you want to subscribe, please do press the button below as per normal. If you have any questions, just send them to me and I'll answer them. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.